For many of us, it can take a lifetime to learn to trust ourselves, and for others, they just do. Trusting our own intuition is not something we are led to achieve. Regardless of what's happening around you, trust is a practice through obstacles and opportunities to deepen your love of the universe. And difficult situations are divine spiritual assignments that help you heal and grow. Blind trust is trusting without cause. Love and trust your own inner compass and understanding we hold a higher state of consciousness that dwells within us all. If you have ever listened and heeded that divine whisper and the innate advice that it so lovingly offers you, will your intuition steer you in the right direction? Do you trust that inner compass and the I am presence? Does the self acknowledge its presence and follow it? Or does the mind tell you a story only later to find that was not the case? Trusting the divine is exactly that, trusting your gut and the inner being, and to know that it exists and divinely designed to guide you on your journey through life. Free will is a birthright, so when we make those choices either positively or negatively, without judgment, the universe will answer us accordingly. We are given the choice to surrender, to trust or not to trust. That is your free will. Trusting the divine is a carbon copy of trusting yourself. When we decide to hold the idea to do what is best for all concerned, we can be assured the universe will support us in the best possible way. Awesome, awesome. Welcome everyone to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway and your channel for community support, love, friendship, knowledge, all that good stuff. You've heard it a million times. Also, it's time to feed your mind and grow your heart as well. So welcome, everyone. We've got a loaded panel tonight. It's good to have everybody with us. I hope everybody had a great week last week and you had a good time, enjoyed yourselves, did some positive things. That's a good thing. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Teresa D'Antone. We have Sophia. And we've got Nick and Jasmine, Water and Fire, Grandpa Brian. Everyone knows Grandpa Brian. And Hannah, and introducing Zach. Zach, welcome to the show tonight. It's good to have you with us. Can't wait to hear some of your input. Wonderful to have you. Let's go ahead and we'll acknowledge chat real quick, and then we'll get right to it. Scotty boy, it's good to see you. Wonderful. Lady Spitfire, a pleasure to see you as well. Hi, Chloe. How are you? Hope everything's going well with the crystals and you're doing good. I'm sure you are. We're a little bit, that's about it for chat for the moment, but that's okay. They'll start rolling in. Real quick, I just wanted to say, when we bring in an attitude of trust, which is similar to letting go, we allow ourselves to embrace the spontaneity of the moment, and we open to the Lakshmi, or the universal energy of abundance. And we open to God in the background of love. When we bring trust into our relationships, we give others room to grow and meet us in this realm of spontaneity, openness, and abundance and spiritual heart. So, trust is not a means to guarantee results, it is an invitation to move beyond results it would be called trust. It wouldn't be called trust if it weren't guaranteed. Want to thank Grandpa Brian tonight for bringing this topic to the show. It was his suggestion and a very good one. So we're rolling with it and we're going to get right into it. So tonight, I'm not really going to ask any specific questions. I'm just going to kind of go organically tonight and just let this discussion flow. And I thought it would be apropos for Brian to start us off. And how did you come up with the topic? And how did we get here, Grandpa Brian? And he's frozen. Mega froze. That's all right. How about let's do Hannah and Zach? Why not? Zach, it's good to have you with us. Hannah, what's your take on the compass of the divine truth? Do you follow it? Do you listen to it? How does it affect you, and how do you use it in your life?
Wow. Well, there's many ways I think to kind of receive what people would say trust is. I think intuition is the same thing for many people. It's kind of like this pinpointed answer that many people could probably perceive differently, but it's the same answer, if that makes sense. And people can feel it. People can probably listening to themselves. Really feel it. It's kind of like the gut. This is what I need to be doing, and it kind of transcends emotion. There's no emotion attached to it. I would say it's intuition. It's more just differentiating emotion and intuition. And if, say, I meet someone and I'm like, well, I shouldn't really be inviting you into my life, there's no emotion with it. There's no judgment. And it's just this truth that there's
objective.
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Discernment. And
yeah, discernment.
That's another topic, I would think. But trust, I think confidence. Confidence and trusting yourself goes along with the same thing, I would say. But yeah, I feel mine. I feel it. It's in my body.
Well, now you and both. Yeah, I was just going to say, for yourself, Zach, how do you trust that divine connection?
Hannah takes the intuitive. I take the analytical. And I've been completely trusting the universe for many years now. And I'm really thankful for that because it's more of an anchor for me. I went through first naivety in high school and college. I trusted pretty much anyone. And then
Guilty.
I learned, quote unquote, that I shouldn't trust people. And somehow that was necessary. But at the same time, it kind of took away some benefits of trust. So I'm learning to trust again now, 4 years later.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I would often blindly trust others, and then I would quickly learn that wasn't a good thing to do, but I needed that lesson. And now I'm very good at discerning trust. So I think in a way it helps us become stronger in who we are. So those experiences, even the negative, just strengthens us, definitely. Grandpa Brian, you're back.
Yes, I am.
How did you come upon the subject, and what prompted you to come up with the idea of the compass of divine trust?
Well, when I started looking back on my growth and my spiritual growth and everything that I've been through, it was trusting in the process, even though I went through a lot of hard shit and a lot of shit happened to me. It was all a part of making me grow.
Made you stronger, didn't it?
It made me stronger.
Yeah.
I trust the process now, what I had to been through, because I had to learn all that. I had to experience all that to help me grow. Maybe if I didn't go through all that shit, I might not be sitting here right now. It was the process of going through all that I think that has led me to this point right here. It was trusting, learning to trust. Okay, yeah, You went through a lot of shit, and you may have done some shit to people, but it
Mm-hmm.
was all a process that you had to learn to help you get to this spiritual point in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I started getting the messages, when they first started coming to me, it was like, wow, am I really getting that message? Is it just my mind playing tricks on me, or are they really trying to get a hold of me? And it took some time to trust the information that they were trying to give to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really started connecting. That's when I really started connecting to my spirit guides and all the other guardian angels, whoever wants to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
I started trusting in what they had to say to me instead of questioning, okay, is that just me thinking something, or is that a message coming to me?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all, for me, it's about trusting in the process of your whole life. Everything that has happened to you up until this point
Mm-hmm.
has led you to where you are sitting right now.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Sophia, you and I seem to parallel a lot, and I love that about you. But what would you tell someone who is just getting into this? They're actually connecting. They're not sure if they're really connecting. How do they trust that energy? What are some of the things that they'll tell you or not tell you that can help you with that discernment?
Well, for me, like we've said, and it's all been over 2 years I've been hanging out with you guys. I love
I
that.
know, right? I can't believe it. It's hard to believe. Time
Right.
flies when
Well,
you're having fun.
yeah. Well, about 2 years ago, we were speaking about a similar topic, not the exact same thing.
I think we're
But
trusting the intuition or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
born this way,
Mm-hmm.
I used it as a coping skill.
Yeah.
So, and even as like a toddler, it's like, is this person, healthy or unhealthy, balanced, unbalanced? What frequency I could dial into people very easily, and that much has changed. So, that there was no questioning what I was feeling. Are there times I want to be wrong? Absolutely. Do I get it 100%? 100%. Hello, I'm in a human, but I give what I get. That's the
Mm-hmm.
key, is giving
Mm-hmm.
what you get and not being attached to it. So, well, yeah, it's just I never had to build. For me, trust is built. Trust is
Yes.
earned. And I
Yes,
never
I
had to
agree.
build or earn trust with my team.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've seen other people go through a process with it, especially when you've been betrayed a lot. It's hard to establish that kind of trust. And
Absolutely.
I could say when I'm navigating something heavy like that, it's harder for me to connect because I'm not vibrating at the frequency that's healthy for me to, energetically exercise in that fashion. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of ethics that goes into it as well.
Yeah.
So, and
And it
self-care.
yeah, and it takes time to build that trust. I know when I started talking to my spirit guide who was human and has become my spirit guide. The first thing I realized when I got an energy that didn't feel right was it upset me, and I that's when I that was my first lesson in trusting the divine, because the divine will never feed you anything but positive love and support. And if something is feeding you something that is not true, it's not going to feel right. Much like what Hannah just said, and Zach, they pick up on that energy. They just know, they can feel it. But if you're just starting out, it can be a real eye opener. And discernment is a hard lesson because you want to go out there and give the message, and then you give the message and you find out that that was not coming from the source that you thought it was, and then you feel betrayed by spirit, and then you have to get over it, understanding that that was not a positive energy that was giving you the information, and that was a lesson I needed to learn, and it was a hard one. But I'll tell you, once I got that figured out, it wasn't so hard anymore, because I knew from that feeling that I wasn't ever going to, experience that again, because and I always made sure I was very protected when I did communicate. So it was always in the best possible light, positive light energy. Nothing else could come in. I'm impervious to anything negative. And once I set those boundaries, then I was able to trust it much easier. How about you, Jasmine and Nick? How did you learn to trust?
I'm on the big trust train because
Choo choo.
yeah, because it's like being super logical and being super scientific, and that's where like most of my background is from.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff kind of borders line on crazy. You know what I mean? What do you mean there's voices that talk to you? What do you mean you get sensations? What do you know, like when you're talking to someone, like it's a lot of questions that pop up. So the way that I got it was I tested it like a scientific theory. So I had like my hypothesis of what this could be. And then I tested it with myself. And then I went and talked to 3 different other psychics. And then when they all said the same thing, I'm like, how is the law of probability, how is that going to line up like that? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started looking into more things that lined up. And the more I searched for, the more I found. Then I actually found that there are scientific studies that go into this that were from the government and personal studies that there is such a thing as an energy field. You can test it with science and calipers. There is crystals do have a vibration to them. And it's like the more I started to solidify what this world is in my physical world, the more I started trusting the things that I was getting, because there was an actual reason, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does.
After I made my logic catch up to like my woo-woo stuff,
Mm-hmm.
then it was about like, okay, so is this voice that I'm getting, is this sensation that I'm getting, is this me? Is this someone else? Because then I was having issues with empath where like I was picking on other people, not necessarily my spirit guides. So then I had to learn the basics, which is learning your own energy and learning your own vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So then that way I can tell the difference of what's mine and what's someone else's. Then once I locked into my vibration, my frequency, then I was able to tell like, oh, you know what? This person that's talking right now, I've known this person. I've known this presence since I was little. Like this person's been with me since I was like a child. And then I can remember instances of where like I was like really lonely, or like I was gonna do something reckless, and that voice was like, "Are you sure? Do you want to like?" So then I was like, "Oh, so this is my guide. This is what they mean by guides. They're the ones that kind of help you navigate through like your years, through your life. The ones that are actually looking out for you. The ones that are looking for your best interest." So once I did that, I looked for the consistency and time, like Barbara was said, with my guides and those voices and science matching my woo-woo stuff, and finding out my own energy so I can figure out who I'm talking to, because there is such a thing as being too open and allowing anything and everything to come in is very dangerous, because you do get tricksters. You do get people who play with your energy. So you kind of have like that funneling or that screening process. And for me, it's like, how truthful are they? So like only the light can come onto you, or only the light can come near you. Once you start getting more advanced, then you can start going a little more which ways, but I'm not advising any of that. If you're new, stick with the light.
Yeah.
And then you have like a screening process. Like, am I wearing yellow today? Am I 7 feet tall? And anyone that knows me knows I'm not 7 feet tall. So if that energy or that voice or that pendulum says yes, then I'm like, you're not the right person to talk to right now, because there's spirits and energies everywhere. So just as humans come in all shapes and sizes, so do the spirits. So just it comes from a different energy of being cautious, of worry, because worry comes from a place of fear, where wary comes from a place of it's just it is what it is. It's just acknowledged.
Positive and negative. That's
So,
where the discernment comes in. Yep.
Exactly. So it's like, just because I wish we lived in a peaceful world doesn't mean I'm not going to lock my doors or lock my car. So you still have to have those like security systems in place.
Gotcha. Sophia, you want to make a comment?
Yeah. I love how we all are functioning towards bettering ourselves and having an opportunity to share our gifts with other people. And I love what Jazz is saying there. For me, it has to do with vibration, frequency, and intention. You know, when we're grieving and stuff like that, it's the light worker, medium, psychic's responsibility to know if you're in a position to where you can hold a frequency, because if you can't, in my opinion, in my experience, that's when the unbalanced, unwelcomed type energy, you know, when readings are like negative, negative, negative. Well, if that's what you keep getting, maybe it's time to take a pause, you know, and check yourself, because I won't work if I can't hold a vibration at or above courage. If I'm navigating grief or sorrow, I mean, in my conscious mind, who am I to open up the subconscious? Go on, kids. Whole responsibility there. But for me, that eliminates the possibility for things to get unbalanced or out of control. And when I see something and I have phenomena, the first thing I do is laugh, because if it's a lower vibration, it's like, oh, that wasn't what I was looking for. Have we met? You know? I mean, if you're going to show up in my house, name, rank, and what's your mission? You know? I'm not about to, oh, that scares me. It takes quite a bit to not to be that person, but it's true. If you don't put it out there, then you don't have anything really to dodge. Not for long.
Very true. Teresa, how about you? It's good to have you with us, Teresa.
I think I think Nick was next.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so to start it off with, I love everyone. They always get love first, but trust, that's a biggie. That's something. That's a whole different tier of vulnerability. There's people-wise, there's only a few that I fully trust. But in regards to the metaphysical stuff, well, I studied many religions, many philosophies, many esoteric topics, and everything that involves the spiritual side of things. And one thing that I have consistently seen that they all agree on is your mind creates your reality. They always say it in some way, shape, or form, that and the Holy Trinity of mind, body, spirit. They also always bring that up to some extent. So I was like, what do I got to lose? I ain't got nothing to lose. I might, if it's not real, I'll feel silly for a second. If it is real, I'll get everything handed to me on a silver platter. It doesn't, the odds sound pretty nice. So I started doing it. I started putting the faith in. And for people that aren't fully understanding, faith is the exact opposite of logic. If you're asking for the numbers, if you're asking for the science behind it, etc., stuff like that, like very logical way of thinking, you're not going to get it. You're just not going. It's not. There's going to be wrenches thrown into the cogs of the machine of the spirit realm, because you're just not going to get it. When we talk about faith, we're talking about there's a volcano behind you. God tells you to jump, you do it anyways. You jump in that volcano. That's what faith is. No matter how ludicrous and unorthodox it sounds, you do it.
Yep. Nick, maybe you can answer this question because it is very important. Steve, I have asked my spirit guides to make themselves known to me. I'm still waiting. And then he says, if I have guides, they're being silent. What would you say to someone like that, Nick?
Well, the spirit world loves to talk, so I highly doubt that. Odds are you have a couple spirit guides at least that have been pounding on your door, and you're just not connecting for some reason, whether it's because you're holding on to the logic side, as I said, so it's keeping you out of tune, or other spirit guides are maybe thinking you're simply not ready. They're there though. Like if you actually sit down and do some of the energy work of feeling things out, you can start telling. So one of the beginner things that we learned is to put your hands together, put them like this, and then start forming a ball with it. and then you'll feel some type of magnetism or electricity or static, something. And then once you have it in a ball, you take it to your chest and you put it on your heart, and then you let it resonate all throughout your body. Now, what that does is it syncs you up with what your energy feels like. Once you start getting used to what your energy feels like going within, you'll start noticing all the energy around you. You'll start feeling the shifts. You'll start feeling like someone's near you. You'll start smelling the scents of someone that might have passed away. Stuff like that. They're all there. You just got to tune out the physical, put your faith in the metaphysical, and all of a sudden that light will spark, and you'll start seeing a perspective that you've never seen before.
Gotcha.
I don't tune out the physical.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to keep you have to keep at least 1 foot still grounded here on earth, because if not, then it's not going to make any sense, because then they're going to be talking in this language and you won't be able to process it with this brain.
Mm-hmm.
So you still want to stay at least a little grounded when you're connecting.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to mention, like, the clairs. Anytime someone mentions like the clairs that we have, it's just our 5 senses. It's just in the spiritual. And that technique that Nick just went over, that's the technique that we learned for knowing our own energy. So when you start forming that friction between your hands and whatever vibration you feel here, and what I do is I put it on my heart center, and then I let that resonate between like the top of my head and to the bottom of my feet. And this is my energy signature. This is what you are right now at this point in time. So then once you have like a baseline, it's easier to see where something's off that baseline. But most guides, they're just like people. They speak differently, right? So where we have ADHD, like Hannah and I will just like talk about 5 different things at once, and that's just our communication because we have ADHD. Some of your guys will speak to you in angel numbers. Some of them will speak to you in pictures. Some of them will speak to you in like radio songs. It's just depending on what kind of connection or what kind of rapport or bond you have with that guide. And if you don't have one, it's great, because it's kind of like, when you were a kid and you were like having an imaginary friend and you guys came up with your own little language. It's the same thing.
So this is one of the reasons we're here tonight, is to help people who are coming into this awakening. Hannah, I will get right to you because I'm going to have you answer this question real quick. Now, Steve's saying, I have sincerely sought to have my guides make themselves known to me. They don't. What am I doing wrong? I'm leery of people who speak so intimately about guides. In my humble opinion, your first mistake is right here, saying that they don't communicate with you. They do. You're not listening to the signs. You're not. And also, too, keep it positive. I am open to receiving those messages. I'm not putting any doubt or anything negative on it. Keep telling yourself the positive. I will connect to my spirit guides. I am connecting to my spirit guides. The more you make those types of statements, the more you close the door. Hannah?
Right off the bat, what I was going to say exactly. What Steve, and there's so many other people who are making the same mistake. They are already jumping to the conclusion of there's something wrong. They're not connecting with me. I don't hear them. Then that's your reality. Point blank, period.
Yeah, point blank, period.
So if you're in this state of trust, okay, let's back up. Okay, have 1 step forward. I ask 1 step forward, because if you ask your guides, surround yourself with your energy, you're probably going to feel like hundreds, thousands even of different energies, which is fine. Most of us have many guides, and only a few we know, at least. So have 1 step forward, surround me in your energy. And before you do that, what's my energy? What is my energy? What's my environment like? What does that feel like? Okay. Wipe that.
It's a shift in perspective.
Yep. Have 1 step forward. What's the difference? And be open to that. What Lori said. I am open for my guide or guides to communicate with me. And if their language isn't the language you can resonate with, ask them to speak a different language.
Mm-hmm.
Until you see the pattern recognition, because in our matrix physical reality, the way that we pick up signs is pattern recognition. That's just the way, or hearing, or like the clairs that Nick mentioned, smelling, taste. It can go the full 10 yards, really. And the first thing that I would say, like, my guides aren't talking to me, and it's like, yes, they are, but you're creating that reality. And I know that sounds bogus, and that doesn't sound logical.
Yeah, it sounds like an easy out, and I understand where Steve's coming from. In fact, he says, I appreciate your opinion, but I don't agree.
Cool.
And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Teresa, you have a comment?
Well, I was going to weigh in anyway, but I want to respond to Steve because I've been where Steve is. I think I know exactly where he's coming from. I had a really hard time with this, the acceptance of these different spirit energies,
We all have.
Even though I was feeling them almost all my life, even as a child. I just didn't know what they were or where they were coming from. But I've come back around full circle. It's taken me a long time to get here. Would it help any of you to know what I know now, or what I think I know? And that is that outside of a paranormal experience with a spirit who hasn't crossed over, guides, when we're talking about divine guides and this compass of divine trust, for me, it's become a realization. Now, this is me. It's a realization that all the different frequencies and energies and aspects and characteristics of what all of us are referring to as guides, whether you experience them as angels or aliens or an earth spirit, to me, I've come to an understanding that they're really the innermost, deepest part of my own self. They're part of my consciousness, Steve. So when I'm talking to something I've labeled with a name, Ignacio or Raphael or Michael or whatever that guide is, in whatever tradition, to me, they're just energetic aspects of my own constitution, my own soul experience. And it could be previous versions or concurrent versions of myself in different dimensions, different realities of focused realities that I've created for myself to have certain specific experiences. So at other times, it's the knowing that the deeper I go into my own, why do I do things the way I do? Why do I feel the way I do? The more I explore my own nature of my own self and finding out where I've placed blame on people, things, circumstances, and events, I've gotten to the point where I realize it's my own inner intuition are these guides for me. And they're all part of the oneness because they're also bringing in different aspects and memories of experiences and knowledge from the Akashic records that people talk about. And so they're bringing that to the table and reminding me of things I've either forgotten or haven't yet experienced. So they bring me a great deal of wisdom. And the only way I was able to start trusting them is when things started happening that they would tell me. Those aspects of me would tell me to trust something, trust a process, trust a circumstance or event. And if they nudged me in a certain way, I would do what they asked me to do. And I would find out that it could come true. So that trust was built over time, as Sophia was saying, and some of the others. So that's where I've come to my understanding, Steve. And by saying they don't talk to me, they don't speak to me, for me, that meant I'm not listening to myself. I'm not accepting how I really am. I'm not accepting all of the abilities that I have internally to bring about change and change my attitude and my approach to doing things. So I'm not blaming anything on anything outside of me. and I'm not giving any credit to anything outside of me.
Yeah.
I'm giving credit to the energy or the frequency within that allows something to come out and talk to me. It's like talking to yourself, but it is part of yourself. It's just a higher aspect.
Right. Hannah and Zach.
So,
Thank you, Teresa.
Yeah, speaking of trust, well, you can believe or trust that your reality is created from something within you, or you can believe or trust that it's created from something without you. And whichever way you trust, it's going to be,
yeah,
you're going to find confirmation for that. And so if you trust in your guides are not speaking to you, that's going to be the reality that you're creating. And if you desire to connect with your guides, or you desire to change the way you perceive things, you can start to work on your mindset and shift that perspective slightly.
Kind of in line here with what Scotty Boy said. Zach, if you'd answer this, my question, what if I'm not looking to connect with my guides? What if I made a choice to go it alone?
I completely resonate with that, because that's where I was a few years ago. I connected with guides, but I didn't want to. I was thinking they were demonic because I came from a Christian background. And so I tried to I tried to avoid connecting with them. And just, it's a personal choice, I guess. I think it helps us realize why we're experiencing the things we are when we are open to connecting more fully. And that's all I have to say, I suppose, right now.
I think it's what Teresa said, is that they're just aspects of us. So, I mean,
yeah, and some of those aspects of the dark subconscious can be pretty frightening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yes,
and
it
it is your
can.
conscious free will to not accept the help. Maybe you need to go it alone. Maybe you are that lone rebel and you need a lifetime where you don't have that love and support. And that's totally fine. And you can do that. Jasmine?
I'm going to say when I was first starting out with my guides, it was really hard for me because since I do come from a science background, I also come from a religious background. So we were told you're not supposed to test God. You're not supposed to test these things. But in the spiritual world, they're way more open about it, and they actually embrace building that connection. But I started to realize that it's really silly. Like, if you think about it, it's really like simple, because it's like the voice that you think you're just your own thoughts. Like if you're sitting down, you're like, that was funny. And then the other one's like, yeah, I know, right? And it's like, you think you're talking to yourself, but really it's a guide. So maybe just, it's really like a child. It's like when you were a kid and you had your imaginary friend, what was that relationship like? And that's going to mirror what your relationship is like with your guides, because most of the time that imaginary friend was a guide or something. And it's usually just, it's going to feel silly and it's going to feel like awkward, because you're going to try to figure out like a reason to why you're feeling this way. And if you're not feeling anything, that's fine, because everybody has to start somewhere, like it just depends on where you are, and that's going to be unique to you and your situation. So just remember a time like when you were a kid, you didn't overthink things, you didn't stress about things. If you were just having fun, just pretend for a moment that you are the most powerful psychic person that has like the best relationship with your guides. Then it's like, just play with it and see how that feels, and see if that brings any clarity. And there's no right or wrong. So I feel like when I'm reading the comments, you keep saying like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? There is no right and wrong. This is all a discovery point. So you're just discovering, you're just playing. That playing, you'll start to see sync up with your reality. We're just like, oh, whoa, like I didn't. Then the connections will start connecting. And as a Capricorn, and I'm not a Capricorn, I'm a Pisces, but I have Taurus and Virgo, so very like earthy, very grounded signs. And it's like no, and I've been on my own since like came from a very dysfunctional family, so I had to learn to be on my own. So it was very nice to have I didn't even know them at the time. I just figured them out who they were like a year ago. I used to think that I was just, in scientific world and psychology, that's what we call like escapism, where when you're going through a traumatic experience and people have like a split personality, usually that's because of their guide. So there is explanations for this stuff scientifically. It's just we ourselves, it's the only reason why I believe we're not all in the loony bin or schizophrenic or anything like that is because we stay grounded. If you stay up there too long and you don't have those boundaries, we'll go off the deep end, and it'll be hard to come back.
Yeah. Hannah, you have a comment? Thank you, Jasmine.
I wanted to try to break it down for Steve, I think. Astrology, that's a swimming pool of skepticism for a lot of people.
No doubt.
You seem to believe that. And you know that they're stubborn, and you know that these characteristics or stereotypes fit, right? Think of your guides, yes, as parts of you, but egoism. They're kind of like your angels. If you don't believe in angels, okay, they're kind of like your teachers, okay? You don't want a teacher and you want to break the rules, okay? They're a grown, more mature version of you. And who understands one aspect of what God is trying to teach you. And that's why we have thousands.
Add on. I'd like to add on to that, Hannah, and follow up on what Charles is saying to Steve in chat. There is some yoga teachings that come into play that I remember reading, but I took it down in the notes here. A trusting spirit. Some of us just don't have a trusting spirit. We just don't. And there might be numerous reasons why we don't trust and why we feel we have to go our own way. Even the song, Go My Own Way. But a trusting, once you start allowing yourself to open up a little bit, if you choose to experiment and do it just for fun, that's what I started doing. And then it became, So it says here, there's like 5 bullet points. A trusting spirit nature says, I'm not just this experience. I'm not just this body that might get hurt. I'm not just a physical body. I'm not the emotions, lifestyle, or carefully constructed relationships or careers. That's part of my personality and part of my experience, but it's not who I am. I am in no danger because I am none of these. My trusting self is a doorway to all aspects of my higher selves, my guides, my higher selves, and the stillness of my utmost highest mind. So what do you think that means? You become still in getting to know yourself at a deeper level. And once you've gotten to know yourself, I mean, I'm sure you've talked to yourself before, driving down the road in your car. You've had some thoughts, or maybe you've gone for a long walk. Maybe someone in here is one of those folks that goes out in nature, and while you're gardening, you start having thoughts, and you start talking to yourself, and you start hearing yourself talk back. And you come to realize it's an energy that's very different than your very own everyday type of energy. And that's when you go, that's one of my guides. And the American Indians do it a lot with animal totems. I did. I talked to animals all the time. And in the stillness of nature, I can look at a squirrel or I can look at a bird and I feel that energy coming into me. And I actually have a conversation in my thoughts with that energy and what that animal represents. And so I'm still not saying it's something from outside of me, but it's an energy I'm connecting to that's all around in the atmosphere and in the universe. And that energy, I allow it to come in, and then it activates part of me. So.
Yeah, Steve, definitely. Skepticism is more valuable than blind faith. That's wonderful. We're a group of people that are actually connecting to the divine, and we're addressing people that really want to know this information, and hopefully it helps them to connect. And I'm not picking on you. I just know that there are a lot of people out there that feel the way you do, and I'm just addressing it. So
Yeah.
please don't take it any other way, okay? Um, total love and light for you, and I appreciate that very much, because it's that healthy skepticism that gets people to see both sides of the coin, and that's what we're
Right.
trying to do, is have a balanced approach to this. So thank you for being the balanced approach.
And here's another piece to it. So
Mm-hmm.
trust is our divine right. I wrote this down
Okay.
because I so connect with this, and you may have read it in the beginning, I'm not sure. So trust is our divine right, a spiritual attitude of soul self guidance, what yogis have referred to as the one witness consciousness behind all eyes and experiences, what we really are as our transcendent spiritual nature. So it's this is written to give you an understanding of you are so much more, all of us are so much more than we think we are. We all have such great abilities and spiritual strength by letting go of fear, controlling the emotions, letting ourselves live in the moment whenever we can, and trusting our own gut response. And if you see angels, or you see other beings, or you experience visions
Mm-hmm.
where you interact with different types of beings, it's just your expression
Mm-hmm.
of understanding those powers and those energies from deep within your own self. But when you convince yourself that you can't control things that are outside of your circumstances, and when you let go of your free will by saying, oh, this is what's driving me, or that's what's driving me, or this event, or that event, or this person, or that belief system, that's when you disconnect from your own divinity. But and so for me, it's been very important to connect to my own divinity, to say
Mm-hmm.
all of that is nonsense outside of myself, and nobody can make me do anything, say, think, feel, or act in any way other than how I want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're truly a person who doesn't see the benefit of connecting into anything, and you don't have any spiritual beliefs, that's entirely up to you. All I can say is that in my life, it's changed the quality of my life, from how I earn money, to how I maintain my property, to how I maintain my humanness, to my approach to healing and health. So to me, there's been great benefit in allowing my own divine trust of my own inner voices to help me through difficult times and circumstances. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
anyway.
Hannah, you have a comment?
Yeah, I want to take it back to trust.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have space to talk about, like, not go into detail, but I grew up rough. And I didn't really trust myself, and I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I projected onto my world in a very depressed or sorrowful way. And I would pray, and I would convince myself it wouldn't work, because I was taking a very analytical, logical approach, because these people betrayed me. I'm hurt. My walls are up. And the only person I got is myself. And I know this works, so I'm going to keep doing it. And it became apparent that that wasn't the way I was going to live. That's not the way I should live.
Mm-hmm.
And building that trust. And whenever my spirit guides came in and was like, hey, you're love, it was hard to receive that. It was hard to be like, what do you mean? No.
Allow yourself to be loved.
I
That's what I was told. Allow yourself, Lori. It's okay.
Right. It's like giving yourself that
Permission.
Right, giving yourself permission.
Yeah.
And going back to that, like, being betrayed like that, and giving trust out like it was candy to give out, and then people betraying that. And I learned that trust is a very valuable, non-tangible thing. And that it's very rare when you have that. and especially with something that you can't really hold, like a spirit guide, like an ancestor, like God for say, like you can't hold that. I mean, technically, but you know what I'm trying to say. So building that non-tangible trust with something that you can't really see, you know, that takes a lot of building, that takes a lot of faith, that takes a lot of
takes commitment.
It takes commitment. And just when you do have those people that you trust, like, I wouldn't say like never let them go, but know that you have something very valuable, like very, very valuable, especially having trust with yourself, because, you know, we're not perfect beings. You know, we're gonna make a boundary and maybe that wasn't the thing to do. I'm gonna say what I think, and maybe that was, you know what I mean? And we all don't really have it figured out, and we're all trying our best. And
yeah, there's no manual, is there? There's no
No.
manual to the human experience. So you're just kind of on your own, working it through and getting it done.
Right.
Jasmine, you had a comment? Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah, I think we circle back to like where this trust in spirit all begins. It all begins with yourself. Like it just depends on how far do you trust yourself, and how far are you willing to, how well do you know yourself, you know? So it just depends on that foundation, because spirituality, from what I've learned, it's all about self-development. The more developed you are within yourself, the more you're going to know the spiritual, because it's I talk about it a lot. It's your baseline. So if I like putting these scenarios in my head. So like if I were to trust me, right, and if I was like a version of me in the future, how the hell am I going to get a message to myself? You know, it's like, what's going to get through your barriers? What's going to get through your walls? Like imagine if you had that
point.
task.
Really good point.
How would you do it? Like knowing everything. So it's like, okay, so how well do I know myself? And it's like, I really love animals. So like if I saw the same animal, because I'm open to animals, then I would probably get a message that way. Or with the wind, sometimes I'd sit there and talk to the wind, and the wind will respond. I know it sounds like gibberish and crazy, but it's you. Where do you have that faith within yourself? Because I know me to be a very logical and straightforward person. So I know how my brain will click and how it will put the pieces together, because I'm really obsessed with like Sherlock Holmes and like, you know, detective things. And I'm always reading and like micro expressions. And I'm always like, oh my God, look at all this information. And like, I'm keeping my mind palace organized and there. So
mind palace. I like that.
It's like a cosmos, like webs, mind.
I love that.
But it's more about like, how well do you know yourself for you to know, hey, this might be a message I'm trying to leave for myself. Or hey,
breadcrumbs.
Exactly. Like just think of it that way. If you were out in the future, or if you were out in some other dimension, like there's someone in the comments that says that they get it through their dreams, because that's when their ego's aside and they can actually listen. So it's just like, if you in all good intention, right? Because I know I wouldn't come from the future or from another galaxy or something and try to like trip myself up. I'd just be like, I wouldn't do that. One, because it'd be too much energy to expend. And two, I love myself too much. I wouldn't do that to myself. So if you think of it like a movie and you were tasked with trying to get yourself a message that you would trust in your own language, in your own energy field, in your own skepticism, in your own, like, because everyone's uniquely themselves. So how would that message look like to you?
Very true.
And then that's how everybody has their own breaking point. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own way of doing it. Somebody has more senses this way, somebody has this way. But what you said was true. You always have to stay grounded. Don't give in to one way or the other. We're a human experience, and what makes humans unique as a species is that we have that free will. We're allowed to choose what path, what thinking, what we are a free agent. If you think about like the elements, right? If a fire never burned, there would be chaos. So a fire can't have as much free will as a human can. So just think about when you wanted this human experience, what do you think you wanted to come out here and learn, right? Maybe you're supposed to use that logic, right, and that skepticism to be able to help. Like, once you find that bridge, once you find that common ground between your logic and your spirituality, that's going to help so many more people find their own spirituality.
You know, that is perfect, because I tell you, the state of understanding your true principles, what you hold near and dear, how your book of life, your book of integrity, the things that you care about the most, do no harm, you know, whatever you find your value, core values. I found that once I identified what those things are, what I'm really about, that is my compass. That is my inner compass. And I think Lori will be talking about that next week in a different way, but it is a known way of your beingness, of who you just really are as a being. I will always help people. I'll put myself in circumstances and situations because that's what I do. So if I run into an accident or I respond to a situation that might be scary to some people, it's okay, because life after life after life after life of all of my emanations, that's what I do. It's part of who I am. And I say that to my friends and family when they get on my case about stuff. I'm like, don't stop me. Don't stand in my way. Don't try to block me. It's part of who I am. So if I put myself in a dangerous situation, don't judge me, because that's where I belong, because I've made that choice, because it's part of my core being to be that way. Now, that's just one example. But it's it's my blueprint. For every lifetime I go through, my challenge is to learn the lessons to maintain that blueprint and expand it and develop it and grow it and make it stronger. With each time I come here, with each focused life I have, in whatever dimension or reality, that's who I am. And so these memories, these attributes of other focused existences will present themselves in my consciousness in the form of something that I can connect and relate to, because they remind me of my blueprint of who I really am. So it's not that I don't. It's all that bringing up. Who was it? Hannah mentioned the Christian religion. Don't let anything in. It's demonic and all that. That's what that's what a lot of us have been taught. And so whenever we do connect to something, oh, it's taboo. Well, no, because you're denying your own self and your own existence.
So I've got
just think of it that way.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, Teresa. I have a question for Sophia. So, Sophia, what would you say is the purpose of being human? What's the path of being human? And Jasmine, I know you want to chime in, and Hannah, Zach, I can feel you.
I would say to learn. There are things that you can only experience in a certain capacity inside a human body with a nervous system. And my experience, in my opinion, Earth is the densest level of existence. And when we don't have a body, there are less things we can experience.
Yeah. I think it's to rediscover who you really are. And it takes many lifetimes to get through that, because you have to learn every lesson in life before you can go back to, where you came from. How about you, Jasmine? Nick, you're included. Feel free to chime in.
So, I pretty much agree with Sophia. That's a learning experience. But on top of that, it's like, why are we learning? I believe it's because we came down here to better ourselves in some capacity, become something more than what we currently are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are always getting lost and confused when they obtain the free will, totally forgetting about what free will implies. Free will implies that you make it out to what you want it to be. God's not going to do it for you. Your guides aren't going to do it for you. They'll be there to support you, but you have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not put yourself out there to get what you want, you're not going to get it. You have to put in your end of the work. They gave you the body so you can do the 3D work, and then they can take care of the rest. That's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Jasmine?
I also agree that this world or this existence is like a school of sorts. But I also know that there's a lot of beauty in this world because there's a lot of muck. So it's that contrast. Like if you ever had a really bad burger
The
and
duality.
a really good burger, then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, wow, this is amazing. Like I don't know what
You wouldn't appreciate. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like not only is it a school of learning, but it's also like all these experiences. And I feel like it really solidifies, or like, you know, when you make a katana or a blade, you condense that material over and over and over again, and that's what builds its strength.
Refine
I
it.
feel like that's how our souls are. Like
Mm-hmm.
our souls have to be condensed over
Yeah.
and over and over again to really embrace who we are and reinforce what we believe in, like our core values, like Teresa was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because once we learn it, we're either going to help other people learn it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, my whole core value is that I believe a lot of darkness or a lot of confusion in the world comes from children's broken hearts. There's a lot of people that are out there that got their heart broken as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, emotional intelligence and spiritual guidance is not something that is readily found. Like you're set in your ways, right? From being like, if your dad stood you up, if you know we go through such complex emotions at such an early age, yet there is no system that actually helps you navigate through that without paying thousands of dollars once you get to an age where you can afford the therapy to undo all that year of habits and repeats, you know? So I feel like being human and that human existence is being able to have a contrast, solidify who you are to get stronger, but also to help the people around you if that is your calling. If not, if helping people doesn't bring you that joy, that's totally fine. You're probably more on the creative side. Maybe you'll create joy. You know, there's the thing about the human existence is that there is no one fits all. There's so many different paths.
And everyone's on a different path.
And that's the beauty of it. I know
and some share it.
Yes. And there is no one, nothing's above anything else. Everything is a beautiful, like, song or dance. You know what I mean? If a guitar did the same sounds as a piano, it'd be very boring. You know, there has to be some contrast. There has to be some like egotism. I'm sorry, it's ego. It's what it makes you unique, and what makes you unique will make you beautiful. And I feel like that the human existence is just beautiful in itself. It's just challenges, but if you come from a spirit, like a religious background, this is the plane of the good and the bad. That's where we ate, like in the tree of Eden. This is the plane of the good and the bad. So that's why it's the most densest.
I absolutely love this comment. Barbara, I'm not sure if I've seen you in here before, but I welcome you. Thank you for being here and your comments. I have learned to reparent myself. I comfort my inner child and tell her, it's okay. We got this. I love that you said that. I love that you said that. You comfort yourself. That is amazing. Absolutely. Hannah and Zach, what is your take on that purpose of being human? Literally, why are we here? And what's the human experience about through your lens and perspective?
I don't presume to know.
I like that. I like that very much.
That's your answer?
Great. Yeah.
Love that. That's beautiful.
Hannah, I know you have something to say about that.
Oh, yes. This is a multi-layered question.
It is.
Simple, in my opinion. We make it. We choose it. Some people come here to sing and they're like, I am here to create. Yes. And some people have a nihilistic approach. They're like,
yeah.
They're like, it doesn't matter. Sure. Sure. That's correct. That's valid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the concept is just experiencing, learning, experiencing that dual nature that's non-dual in nature too. I can get into that, but my answer would just to listen, to trust yourself, to know yourself, to be. That's my answer.
I like it. I like it. Grandpa Brian, how about you? You want to tackle that one?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
We're here to learn, but not all of us are here to learn. I had seen what Scotty put in the chat. What is it to be learned if it's all smooth sailing? Well, there are some spirits that come here, and it's smooth sailing. It's easy for them because they have cleared up karmic debt. They have cleared up karmic cycles. They broke karmic cycles, so they get to come back in an easy ride because they had everything all cleared out from previous life. So this life, they just come down.
We all know someone like that just skates through life. Yep. And that I believe you're right.
And they've cleared up a lot of karmic stuff to where they don't have to deal with all that karma in this lifetime or have to learn lessons because they've already learned all that. So they get a free ride in this lifetime. So, if life's kind of hard on you, right, through your whole life, it's things that you have to learn and experience. That's what's going to help your spirit grow. And eventually you'll come back and guess what? You'll have everything cleared up and you'll get that free ride to where it's like, oh yeah, now I just get to party this whole lifetime and just breeze through life. It eventually happen for all of us, but we have to clear up things and, work through stuff that we need to work through.
Sometimes it is karma. And sometimes it's just that we've chosen to experience something in a certain way.
Yeah.
Because we just want the experience. I was saying to Lori, it's like everybody goes into a game store and says, oh, I want this game. And this is the game of where I grow up as a poor kid and I get beaten in an alleyway and I get, there's like game modules that people are playing because they want that experience. It's not because they have any karma they're carrying forward necessarily, but sometimes it is. So sometimes it is in other words, if I believed that karma had that much hold, I would have to believe that I didn't have the free will to make a choice to keep coming back. I would feel that karma is keeping me imprisoned in a repeating cycle. Now, there's times when karma helps break me free from that so that I can go on to grow and expand and live life differently the next time through. But I don't blame karma for making a choice when I get to the other side of coming back here or not to continue my experiences. I don't have to if I don't want to. Why? Because there's no judgment on the other side. I know this from my own visions and my own memories of having those times of respite and healing that we talked about on our other show. So I'm not being judged. I'm not being punished for anything. I don't have to come back here to clear up karma. I choose to come back here to clear up karma because it's healing my soul and it might help heal others in the process as well. So if I thought that I was trapped, then I would feel I couldn't trust. And if I feel I can't trust, then I wouldn't be open to listening to my inner guides or to receiving the wisdom. So I had to break through that and let that go so that I could release it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Sophia, do you believe that the harder the life, the more your soul expands? The tougher things are here, the more your soul gets out of it?
Charles.
I would say that makes sense, but it's not 100% the truth. I feel when we draw up our soul contract, there's certain things we want to experience, certain people we want to interact with. And I would say the harder it is, the faster we can evolve. Okay, fair. But I would say we're not going to put that many things in our way, to make it miserable. Because, like what we've said earlier, thoughts are things, and the way you think creates your reality. Well, if you're meditating and coming back to center and refocusing and giving your mind that break, then you can shatter the illusion and see things for how they are instead of for how you want them to be.
Yeah.
So it's discipline. And I feel that some people want to go through it. You can't minister to things. You can't advocate or have passion for things unless there's some type of event or connection that would stoke that fire of creation and destruction, which is all literally energy of the South. But I don't know. I feel that who we are now is an accumulation of what we've been, where we've been, and what we've done with it. And it's about enjoying our lives and not getting caught up in the machine.
I totally agree with that. And it is a gift. It's a gift to be here. There are billions of souls that want to come in and have this experience. And here you are sitting in a body, having the experience. I think it's good to be humbled by the fact that it is a gift to have a body. You've been given a body to experience this.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind when you want to tell yourself something negative or you're having a bad day. Yeah,
I'm
go
with
ahead.
Jazz. Jazz, I like what you just said. I like it here too. I've had so much fun. I've had more fun
I love
and
being
more
human.
challenges than just this lifetime, which has not been the greatest one for me. But there's been others that have been fabulous and spectacular. And I love nature, and I love what we've created. I love what we have all co-created and evolved with on this planet. It's just beautiful. From waterfalls to trees to mountains, lakes, rivers, everything. And like Lori, I come here for some of the good food too. And like
I always
Charles,
say I come here
I
for the
like that
food.
chocolate cake, Charles. I like that chocolate cake. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so it's not always bells and whistles and a bed of roses. It's not supposed to be. It's where would be the challenge in that?
Yeah. Life is
It's
a
all
challenge.
about attitude. I think trust is really another way of saying attitude. I think trust is attitude, and it comes from the deepest, most parts of your understandings. If you allow yourself to open up and grow and be more trusting of your own reactions to situations and events, it's all in the tude.
Yeah,
As to what
agreed.
you like is what you make of it. And even if it's crappy at times, where did it bring you to finally? Did you get your way out of it? Did you find a way out? Hannah.
Hannah has a comment. Go ahead, Hannah.
I just love what you said. I love it so much. I think when we come into this world, we embody this pure, unconditional love right out the gate. And there's some opinions that might say differently, but in my belief, for the most part, we come in pure, very like unconditional love and so on and so forth. But when we grow up, we learn that we are in a world of cause and effect. If I do this, this might happen.
True.
If I show my love and my trust to this person, they have the free will to do whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
And we get confused, and it's an illusion that this has to do something with us, especially if we have pure intentions. And we're like, what did I do? Oh my gosh. And then that's whenever that wall comes up and it's like, oh, I can't trust myself. to handle the situation that's in front of me. So
Mhm.
we're learning, and yeah, what Jasmine said, we don't have a lot of emotional maturity and spiritual teachers, but they're coming in more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to an age, hopefully, heavy on the hopefully, that we realize that it's not personal, that most of the things are not personal, and that whenever I did show that unconditional love and they couldn't contain it simply because they weren't there yet, or will be in this life possibly, but I say they're just not there yet, and this has nothing to do with me. And sure, yeah, I have human emotions because I'm whatever.
You are human after all.
Right. And I do have to remember myself, like, yeah, trust is earned. It's not given. I mean, like, if I have a child and they're 16, I'm not going to, and they don't have a car and they're like, can I go on a drive? And they don't know how to drive. I'm not going to trust them to know how to drive. You know what I mean? Like, there's discernment that comes with it. And because it's the world of cause and effect, we kind of have to up like discernment, intuition, logic, analytics, where however you process it, it helps you navigate where you're needing to be. And it's not that I don't love you. It's that if I show it, I don't know that you can meet me on my level, because I know how deep I have gone in with myself. I don't know if I have gone there yet, which is okay. And just, I know that I'd rather spend my time with people that are aligned with situations, environments, money, even.
Yeah.
That support, your
Absolutely.
attitudes and your beliefs.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But open to them as well.
Right.
That's tricky, because a lot of people are firm in their beliefs. And I think it's really important to like get all the information before you make a decision on what you want to believe in. That's a balance thing, and that's super important in my mind. Well, listen, you guys, we're an hour and 17 minutes into this. I want to get to final thoughts. And I thought, let's go ahead and start with Nick, because Nick's been making some really good comments in the chat.
Yeah, he has. Yep. Yep.
And it's difficult with a panel this big to get to everybody, but do the best we can. But Nick, your final thoughts on this topic, compass of the divine trust?
Well, the way I see it is, like they have been saying in chat, I don't think having faith or not is a deal breaker. I'm just saying, if you want to be in the metaphysical, you have to learn at least some sort of degree of faith, because that's just the nature of it. You're not going to get it from like materialistic type of viewpoints. It's just it's like oil and water. You can't mix the two that way. There is a way to do it, but it's not that way. I lost my train of thought. I guess I'm not supposed to say it.
Well said, though. What you said was well said.
And that's having the faith. I'm not supposed to say it.
I love what you said. Thank you for your input, Nick. We do greatly appreciate you.
You should have seen it, because he's been studying these things a lot longer than I have, and he'll be like, "No, don't do that." And I'm like, "Why?" Because I'm the person that's always asked why. Like in science, you learn to ask why until you can't ask why no more, and start getting truths, right? So I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "I don't know. I just know." I'm like, "No. There has to be something that you're picking up on to tell me." And he's like, "No, I don't know." And then that's when I learned that there's that layer of just that inner knowing, and it's not based off of anything.
Yeah, you
like,
just know.
How the hell? So then I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna do it my way. And no, he ended up being right. After 3 times, I'm like, all right, fine. I'll start listening to this, whatever you call it.
Ooh, I get that more than you know.
It's like that Captain Jack quote where they're like, "Oh my gosh, you were telling the truth," and he goes, "You'd be surprised how often I do, and no one believes me."
Yep.
After the 3rd time, I think that's like my inner system. It's like 3 times you're out. You know what I mean? Like whether that's you, like bad consequences or good consequences, like there is a system in place. But anyways, going back. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Faith starts within. You know what I mean? Get to know yourself first. Know what you want. Know why you want that. And everything else will fall into place. Just stick to the idea that everything happens for the best of you. Whether you see it right now or not, when you look back at the situation, everything happens for the best of you.
Yeah.
And that's how I can do that.
I love that. Thank you, Jasmine. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you very much. Grandpa Brian, final thoughts on this wonderful topic.
Trust in the process, no matter what it is. Trust that this life, the journey that you're on, is for your highest and best, for what you need to learn in this lifetime. I just want to leave everybody with one little thought, maybe because it kept me up all night. Just think of, there is no such thing as past lives. Everything's now and happening now. It's just happening in an alternate reality.
Concurrently. Yeah, I believe that as well. I wholeheartedly believe that as well.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you, Grandpa Brian. We greatly appreciate you for being here and your perspective. Hannah and Zach, I would love to hear your final thoughts. And let's start with Zach.
I would just reiterate, the universe runs on trust. In our daily life, why do we go to work? Because we trust that we're going to have bills. We trust that we're going to have money to pay them. Why do you do anything? Because you trust that it's going to get some material result from your material action. So whether you want to disbelieve in trust or believe in trust, you're going to be right either way. And I like to believe in what Grandpa Brian, for example, said. I like to trust that everything's happening for a reason, because I can choose to believe it either way. So I want to do the way that feels better to me.
Perfect. I love that. Hannah? Thank you, Zach, very much.
I kind of want to speak toward the audience if someone will or is listening to this. We're speaking on a level through this whole panel that we already unconditionally love ourselves.
Yes.
And there's people who don't. So I'm going to speak to those people.
Okay.
Okay, one second. I had this whole thing in my head.
It's all good. Just take a moment.
I had this whole thing in my head. Okay. A lot of the time through life, we numb ourselves. And we don't know the feelings that we're having in our body. These are tools that can help us navigate life. And you're kind of feeling it as a setback when you're kind of numb to yourself in the world. And practicing feeling emotion in the body and regulating your nervous system, getting to know yourself. Okay, what does this feel like in my body? Oh, I feel angry. Okay, that's a very surface level. How does that anger feel in your body? Do you tense up? Do you get static? Do you get what are these sensations? And purging those out however you need, hitting a pillow, screaming, whatever. Just don't hurt anybody or yourself. And getting that out and having that relationship. And I feel the need to say your stomach, your gut has more serotonin receptors than your brain.
That's true.
Also has
scientifically, yes, that is true.
And it's also considered your immune system. So what navigates free radicals and health.
They say it's the second brain.
Right. It's the second brain. So literally when you feel your emotions, when you feel that navigation system in your body and creating a relationship with it and trusting that, you are already halfway done. You did the hard part, really. And I just really want to highlight that we're speaking on a level that we already unconditionally love ourselves. And there's probably people who are like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
I just really want to show a spotlight, just trust the process. And whenever you say that to someone, anyway,
Mhm.
It's kind of a different topic, but we've been talking about the belly. We've talked about the chocolate cake, and it's possible to, well, the things we eat have a huge impact on the belly, and the way we're
Yes.
able to do these things, it makes it so much easier if we're fueling ourselves with
Mhm.
nature's food, the way
Yeah.
it was
Live
Mhm.
food. Live
growing.
food is the
Live.
Yeah.
best. Yes. Mhm.
As close as God intended. But
Good point,
And
Zach.
you can still make things that taste really good with healthy
Mhm.
ingredients. It's a topic for another
Absolutely.
time, but you can do that.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to just kind of highlight that practicing loving ourselves is
Mhm. Self-love, self-worth. Mhm. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Awesome. Hannah and Zach, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here and your perspective. It's greatly appreciated and a great honor. And it's very good to meet you, Zach. Sophia, final thoughts, my dear.
All right. I love what everybody's saying about unconditional love for yourself,
Mhm.
self-care. That's a lot of it. That it's mandatory, or you can put yourself out of service quickly.
Yes.
But what spirit? I'm meditating. I'm like, okay, what does spirit want to bring forward? And number one is self-care. And
Mhm.
then if there's anybody that is watching or sees this later that is interested in strengthening their connection, with their guide, spirit, whatnot, or to kind of hone that divine compass of trust, because I feel there's more than one divine compass.
Mhm.
You have
Mhm.
trust, you have love. It's kind of like what Jazz was saying earlier. It's about your clairs. What are you feeling with your physical body? What are you feeling with with your clairs? And then what I would say to bridge between yourself and your guides is to develop a symbolism dictionary. Like
Mhm.
if I see the color blue, this is what it means to me. And a lot of us, at least I have, used metaphysical information related to the energy centers and the chakras, to help explain colors. But not everybody works that way.
Mhm.
Your guides and your higher self are going to use what they need to convey what needs to be said, in my experience. And then to set, like a daily intention, because I'm of the persuasion trust is earned 100%. But when you have a relationship or a healthy connection, trust will develop on its own, because it's like you're sending out energy and it's coming back healthy. You're sending back energy, you're getting information, you're evolving. So discernment was a big challenge for me. And I
Mhm.
would say working on your symbolism and your intention, that's what helped move my illusion out of the way, if you will, because
Mhm.
like people
Mhm.
have said, it's not all about us. We're down here to learn and have a good time. But when we start doing this, that's when things can get challenging, in my opinion. I mean, have our moments, do our inventory, but keep going. Just because you experience something doesn't mean you have to camp there.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
do the work, meditate, process the good and the bad. A lot of people think, oh, doing the work is all negative. That's not true, in my opinion. When you're
Mhm.
doing the work and you're allowing love, you know, that is that will transform you. That will, in my opinion, provoke evolvement, which for me, transformation is rather quick, evolvement is rather slow. But allowing yourself the freedom and the liberty to stand in your truth, be who you are, be in the moment. And the only way that I've found to do that is to do the work and not to do it alone.
Mhm.
So, and then boundaries are meant to move.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
privilege to be close to somebody. And if their proximity to me is causing problem for them or me, and I'm aware of it, it's my responsibility as a light worker to adjust my sails for somebody that has not progressed. I mean, if I'm aware and they aren't, I feel it's my responsibility to adjust my sails for someone who, because I once upon a time I was that person, and somebody adjusted their sails for me.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's about all Spirit has to say about that.
Awesome.
But,
Sophia, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this. You're greatly appreciated. And I love you so much, Sister Sophia. So well said. Teresa, your final thoughts, not least, just last.
Well, you're last. You always have the final say.
I'll make it sweet,
Don't
short,
let her
to the
fool
point.
you. She always gets the final say. I love it. Geez. Well, I don't have a whole lot more to add other than
Everyone did such a great job tonight.
Yeah, they did. Just have fun with some of this. Don't take it so seriously.
Yeah.
People live in the seriousness because they want so much for the world to change and be better. And they want so much to find their own happiness and peace and joy that they take it so seriously. They eat, sleep, and drink it. And get what you need. I'm not saying don't get what you need. Find peeps. Find your peeps and hang out with them. You'll know who they are. But just go easy on yourself too. I found that I was making things so much more difficult for myself because I was being so hard on myself, you know? And the harder I made things for myself, the more miserable I was, and the more resistance I built up. And that resistance doesn't necessarily lead you to a revelation, you know? So if you just let go and relax through this process, whatever process you choose, as Grandpa Brian said, learn to trust it. And that's why Brian nudged us to do this show tonight. Even though we've talked about trust and we've talked about connecting with our guides on many different programs, I think he really was sensing, because he's out there working with a lot of you one-on-one, he really was sensing the need to go at this again. Because people aren't able to let go and trust. And for Lori and I both, trust doesn't come easy to either one of us either.
That's for sure.
It took us a long time to build this up, within ourselves. And once we opened up to each other, we got that connection. Trust became a whole lot more clear. And so find that person. Find your person. Find your friend, or find your group. And that's a good way to start. And you have shared experiences. Don't be afraid to explore. Be an explorer. Try crystals, try healing oils. I've tried so many different things over the past 7 years. And now I'm a semi-expert in a whole bunch of stuff I never knew that really do help me. And my guides come in every morning and chitty chat with me. So if you really want to go here and you really want to expand your spiritual journey, just have fun. That's all I'd say. And love yourself enough to let yourself have fun.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much, Teresa.
Good to see you, Charles. I love it when Charles comes in.
Charles, a hoot.
Indulging your chocolates. I'm right there with you.
Enjoy those cupcakes.
So nice to meet you, Zach. Thanks for coming on and spending time with us. And another All My Relations guy, right? You had
awesome.
Yeah, Brian and I think we started around the same time. I was a little before him.
Oh, okay.
With All My Relations.
Oh, yes. Wonderful. That's wonderful.
That's awesome.
He's one of the oldies.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous that we can't be in closer proximity to experience that, because, man, that would be a place I'd want to hang out every week for sure.
Wonderful energy.
But we'll just have to do with this forum here. Teresa.
All six of you are in Indiana, and part
Love
of
it.
part of all my relations,
I
and
love the people in
now there's
Indiana.
crossover with Camp Chesterfield too.
Yes,
You know,
it's
Mhm.
wonderful. It's
Yeah.
so
so yeah,
wonderful. Well, I
very
want to
cool.
thank everybody for
All
a
right.
fantastic show. It was really good. And I hope you guys got something out of it. And especially those people that are in the background that are silently watching. Those are the ones I'm really curious as to what you think. But I hope you absorb it. And it gave you
Yeah.
some food for thought. And that's what it
Yeah.
is to provoke you to think about this stuff a little bit more. Because if you're watching the show, you're definitely into this information. And we're just glad
Yeah.
that we can share our experience and our knowing and our knowledge, and it helps others on their path. So I hope that that is what is being created here for you folks, because
Yeah.
this is a free forum. We're not here trying to make money or to be in the spiritual realm, in the physical to generate money. It's a free exchange. We're just passing it on,
Yeah.
and we give it up of our free will. And so I want to thank everyone on the panel for putting your time and energy into this and helping us.
Yeah.
Hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week and enjoy it. And we'll see you next week. We've got some really cool things coming up. Can't wait for you to see it. So watch for the trailer, and we'll see you all next Friday night. And again, thank you so much for being here. God
Sending
bless you
love
all.
and hugs to you too, Brother Dalibor.
Yeah,
We miss you.
That's
Yep.
right,
yeah,
buddy. And shit.
Dalibor.
Get better.
That's for
Get
you,
better,
brother.
Dalibor.
Love you all.
Everybody.
All right. Peace and love, everyone.
See ya.
Namaste.